The following instructional presentation of the St. Agnes Reformatory is intended for educational purposes only. All scenarios are fictional, and all characters are above the age of 18.
I sit here at my kitchen table, the same scratched oak where I raised my sweet Abigail to be a proper young lady, and I can hardly believe the creature who stomped through my door yesterday. My daughter. My pride and joy, once a vision in pinafores and Sunday dresses, has returned from that God-forsaken college looking like she's auditioning for a role as a lumberjack in some gritty western. Jeans, Abigail, flannel shirts, and don't get me started on that cropped hair, hacked off like she took a lawnmower to it. I swear if I didn't know better, I'd think she was trying to pass for one of those scruffy boys loitering at the gas station. Disgraceful. Utterly disgraceful. And the attitude. Oh, the attitude. The sass dripping from her like sap from a pine tree. This is not the dutiful girl I sent off to college last fall, and I'll be darned if I let her turn my house into a den of feminist rebellion for the next 3 months while she lives here rent-free. I raised Abigail right, or so I thought. Every Sunday she'd be in the pew beside me, her skirt pressed, her hair neatly braided, reciting Proverbs 31 like it was her personal creed. "A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband," she'd say, her little voice clear as a bell. I taught her to bake cornbread from scratch, to embroider doilies for the church bazaar, to curtsy when greeting elders. She was my perfect girl, the kind who'd make any conservative mother proud. But one year at that liberal cesspool they call a university, and she's come back spouting nonsense about personal freedom and gender norms being outdated. Outdated. As if God's plan for men and women could go out of style like last season's bell-bottoms. I blame those professors, with their ponytails and their lectures on self-expression. They've turned my Abigail into a tomboy, a walking defiance of everything I stand for. Well, this is my house, and my rules apply. 3 months is plenty of time to whip her back into shape, and I don't mean figuratively. I can't help but think back to my own childhood, growing up in the 1970s under Mama's iron hand. Oh, Mama was a force, a woman who could silence a room with a single arched eyebrow. She didn't tolerate backtalk, not from me or my 3 brothers. I remember the summer I was 15 when I dared to sneak a pair of bell-bottoms into the house, thinking I'd look like Farrah Fawcett. Mama caught me preening in front of the mirror, and before I could say Charlie's Angels, she had me over her knee, skirt up, with that wooden spoon of hers singing a tune on my backside. "Evelyn Marie," she'd say, each word punctuated by a thwack. "You will dress like a lady, act like a lady, and think like a lady, or so help me, you'll feel this spoon until you do." By the time she was done, I was sobbing, promising to burn those pants and wear my Sunday dress to the county fair. And I did. Mama didn't just spank, she preached. Every swat came with a lecture on modesty, obedience, and the sacred role of women in God's order. I hated her for it then, but now. I thank her every day. She made me the woman I am, the kind who keeps a tidy home, a strong marriage, and a firm hand on her children. That wooden spoon hung on a hook in the kitchen, a silent sentinel of discipline. I can still see it, polished smooth from years of stirring stews and correcting sass. It wasn't just a tool. It was a symbol of Mama's authority, a reminder that her house had rules, and breaking them had consequences. I learned my lesson, and I turned out fine. Better than fine, if I do say so myself. I married a good man, raised 2 good strong sons, raised a virtuous daughter, until this college nonsense, and kept our home as a sanctuary of traditional values. But Abigail? She's testing me, strutting around in those baggy jeans like she's some ranch hand, mouthing off about self-discovery and living authentically. Authentically. As if dressing like a boy and arguing with her mother is authentic. I didn't raise her to be this way, and I won't stand for it under my roof. Last night was the breaking point. We were having supper, meatloaf and mashed potatoes, her favourite, mind you, and she had the gall to roll her eyes when I asked her to say grace. Mom, she said, in that tone that makes my blood boil, can we skip the sermonizing for one meal? Sermonizing, as if praying before dinner is some outdated ritual. I kept my composure, barely, and served the peas. But then she started in on her college nonsense, lecturing me about how gender is a construct and how she's exploring her identity. Exploring her identity? I wanted to snatch her up right then and there, but I held my tongue until dessert. That's when she pushed too far, tossing her fork down and saying, "You need to get with the times, Mom. Nobody cares about your old-fashioned rules anymore." Oh, Abigail, you have no idea the storm you've unleashed. I sent her to her room, mostly to keep myself from grabbing the wooden spoon right then. As I washed the dishes, the clink of plates drowned out by my own heartbeat, I thought about Mama. What would she do with a daughter like this? I could almost hear her voice sharp as a whip. Evelyn, you don't negotiate with rebellion. You stamp it out. And she's right. Abigail's living here rent-free for the summer, eating my food, sleeping under my roof. If she thinks she can waltz in with her tomboy wardrobe and her big city attitude, she's got another thing coming. This isn't a democracy. It's my house. And I'm the queen. I've decided it's time to bring back the old ways, the ways that worked. That wooden spoon is still in the drawer, and I know exactly how to use it. Not out of anger. Oh no, this is love. Tough love. The kind that saves a soul from ruin. 3 months is a long time, and I intend to use every minute to remind Abigail who she is. A proper young lady, not some flannel-wearing, sass-talking renegade. By the end of this summer, my girl will remember what it means to be a Thompson woman. Or she'll wish she had. I laid awake half the night, Mama's voice echoing in my head. By dawn, I knew what had to be done. This wasn't just about jeans or flannel shirts. It was about respect, about the natural order of things, about saving my daughter from the slippery slope of modern nonsense. So, I took a deep breath, smoothed my apron, and fetched the wooden spoon from the kitchen drawer, the same one Mama used to keep me in line, its handle worn smooth from years of stirring and swatting. Today, it would sing again. It started over breakfast. Abigail slouched into the kitchen in those disgraceful baggy jeans, her flannel shirt untucked, looking like she'd just rolled out of a hayloft. I'd asked her to dress properly for the day, maybe put on that nice sundress I'd laid out on her bed. She scoffed, and said, "Mom, I'm not a doll you can dress up." That was it. The sass, the defiance, the utter disregard for my authority in my own house. I set my coffee mug down, slow and deliberate, and fixed her with the look Mama used to give me, the one that said, "Child, you've just bought yourself a ticket to regret." I said, "Abigail Rose, you will follow me to the living room. Now." Her eyes widened, a flicker of unease breaking through her tough girl act, but she followed, muttering something about overreacting. I sat on the old velvet couch, the one where I'd nursed her as a baby, and patted my lap. "Over my knee, young lady," I said, my voice steady as granite. She laughed, actually laughed, and said, "You're joking, right? I'm 19. Oh, the nerve. I stood, grabbed her wrist, and pulled her down, her lanky frame folding awkwardly over my lap like a recalcitrant colt. "This is my house," I said, gripping the wooden spoon, its weight familiar and righteous in my hand. "And you will learn respect, or so help me. You'll feel every bit of this lesson." She squirmed, protesting, "Mom, this is ridiculous." But I wasn't hearing it. This was no time for negotiation. This was discipline, pure and simple, like something out of a pulp novel, where the wayward heroine gets her comeuppance. The first stroke landed with a sharp crack across the seat of her jeans, hard enough to make her gasp. "This," I said, my voice low and firm, "is for forgetting who you are in this house." She yelped, more from shock than pain, her hands flailing to block me. I pinned her wrists with my free hand, just like Mama taught me, and delivered the second stroke, harder this time, the spoon biting through denim. This is for disrespecting your mother, who's fed you, clothed you, and given you a roof rent-free. Her protests turned to whines, her legs kicking, but I was unmoved. The third stroke came down, sharper still, and I leaned in close. My words a sermon straight from Mama's playbook. This is for thinking you can waltz in here with your college nonsense and turn my home into a circus. By now, Abigail was squirming in earnest, her bravado crumbling like a stale biscuit. "Mom, stop! I'm sorry!" she cried. But sorry doesn't undo a year of rebellion in a single breath. The fourth stroke landed, the hardest yet, and I could feel the spoon's sting reverberating up my arm. "This is for dressing like a boy when God made you a woman," I said, my voice rising with conviction. "You were raised to be a lady, Abigail, not some scruffy tomboy who thinks pants make her free." Her tears started then, hot and fast, soaking into the couch cushion. Good. Tears mean the lesson's sinking in. The fifth stroke was a thunderclap, the spoon singing its righteous song. "This is for forgetting the values I taught you. Modesty, obedience, respect." She was sobbing now, her tough girl act shattered, her body limp across my lap. I paused, letting the silence settle, the spoon poised for the final blow. Abigail's breaths were ragged, her defiance drained. I leaned down, my voice softer but no less firm. "This last one," Abigail rose, "is to remind you that you're still my daughter. And I love you enough to save you from yourself." The sixth stroke was the hardest, a deliberate, searing swat that echoed through the room like a judge's gavel. She wailed, a raw, childlike sound that took me back to when she was 5 and I'd spanked her for stealing cookies. This wasn't about cookies, though. This was about her soul, her future, her place in God's order. I let her go, and she slid to the floor, tears streaming, her hands rubbing her backside through those wretched jeans. I stood, smoothing my apron, the spoon still in my hand like a scepter of justice. "Now," I said, "you're going to listen. You're going to apologize, and you're going to mean it. Then we're going to talk about how things are going to be in this house." She looked up at me, her eyes red, her lip trembling. "I'm sorry, Mom," she whispered, and for the first time since she came home, I heard my little girl, not the college know-it-all. I nodded, not smiling. Not yet. "Good," I said. "But we're not done. Stand up and face me." She did, wincing as she moved, and I could see the fight had gone out of her, at least for now. I gave her the lecture, the kind Mama would have been proud of. All fire and brimstone wrapped in love. "You think you're grown, Abigail, but you're not too grown to learn. You're in my house, eating my food, sleeping in my bed. That means my rules. You want to act like a rebel? You can find somewhere else to live. But as long as you're here, you'll respect me, this family, and the values we hold dear. No more of this tomboy nonsense. No more backtalk. You're going to be the lady I raised you to be, or you'll feel this spoon again. Understood?" She nodded, sniffling, and muttered, "Yes, ma'am." It wasn't much, but it was a start. As I write this, Abigail's in her room, probably nursing her pride as much as her backside. I don't enjoy this, not really, but I'll be darned if I let her slide into some godless, trouser-wearing version of herself. This is love, tough love, the kind that sticks. Tomorrow, we'll deal with those clothes and lay down the new rules. I can almost hear Mama chuckling from heaven, saying, "That's my girl, Evelyn. Show her who's boss." And I will. Like a sheriff in one of those old pulp stories, I'm cleaning up this town, one swat at a time. The lesson with the wooden spoon left its mark, not just on her backside, but on her attitude. My girl's defiance, that college-bred tomboy bravado, cracked like an eggshell under 6 hard swats. Today, the morning after, I'm sealing the deal. This is my house, my rules, and for the next 3 months, Abigail will learn what it means to be a Thompson woman again. No more jeans, no more flannel, no more sass. I'm bringing back the old ways, the ones Mama drilled into me, and I'm starting with a symbol so clear even a rebellious 19-year-old can't miss it, her old schoolgirl uniform. If she wants to act like a child, I'll treat her like one. Groundings, spankings, corner time, and all. This morning I marched into her room, wooden spoon still in hand from yesterday's reckoning, and found her sulking on her bed, still in those disgraceful jeans. "Up!" I said, sharp as a whip crack. She flinched, her eyes darting to the spoon, and I knew the lesson was still fresh. Good. I pointed to the closet, where I'd hung her old school uniform from St. Mary's Academy, a navy pleated skirt, crisp white blouse, knee-high socks, and polished Mary Janes. "You're wearing this today," I told her, "and every day, until you remember what it means to be a lady." Her jaw dropped, and she started to protest. "Mom, I'm not a kid." But one raised eyebrow and a tap of the spoon against my palm shut her up. "In this house, Abigail Rose," I said, "you're a child until you prove otherwise, and children follow rules." I stood there, arms crossed as she opened the closet. Her hands trembled as she pulled out the uniform, the fabric a stark reminder of the girl she used to be, obedient, modest, respectful. "This isn't a suggestion," I added, my voice low but firm. "You're under my roof, eating my food, living rent-free. That means you live by my standards. You want to dress like a hobo? Pay your own way. Until then, you're my little girl, and little girls wear what they're told." She muttered something under her breath, but a step toward her with the spoon made her rethink any backtalk. I watched her change, the jeans and flannel hitting the floor like shed snakeskin, replaced by the prim, proper uniform. The skirt swished just above her knees, the blouse tucked neatly, the socks pulled high. She looked like my Abigail again, not some scruffy tomboy trying to rewrite God's design. Once she was dressed, I sat her down on the couch for the full lecture, the kind Mama would have delivered with a Bible in one hand and a spoon in the other. "Let's be clear," I began, pacing like a preacher at a revival. "In this house, you're not a college student with big ideas. You're a child, and children don't get to make the rules. That uniform is a reminder of that. Every time you put it on, you'll remember you're not in charge here. You're under my authority, and that comes with consequences." I held up the wooden spoon, its polished surface catching the morning light. "You felt this yesterday, and you'll feel it again if you step out of line. Groundings, spankings, corner time, those are the tools I'll use to teach you. Just like Mama taught me. You're not too old to stand in the corner with your nose to the wall, and you're not too old to go over my knee." Abigail's face flushed, her eyes fixed on the floor. But I wasn't done. I walked to her closet and started pulling out the offending wardrobe, jeans, flannel shirts, those hideous sneakers that looked like they'd been dragged through a barnyard. "These," I said, tossing them into a cardboard box, "are gone. Locked in the attic until you earn them back, if you ever do." She gasped, starting to rise, but I pointed the spoon at her. "Sit. Down." She did, her hands twisting in her lap. "You want to dress like a boy? That's a privilege you haven't earned. For the next 3 months, you'll wear this uniform every day. You'll curtsy when you greet me or your father. You'll say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. And if you so much as roll your eyes, you'll be in the corner for 30 minutes, thinking about your choices. Push me further, and you'll feel this spoon again. Understood?" She nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes, ma'am." It was a start, but I could see the rebellion still simmering behind her eyes. That's fine. I've got 3 months to douse that fire. I laid out the rest of the rules like a general issuing orders. Bedtime at 9 p.m, no phone after 8, daily chores, dishes, laundry, dusting, and mandatory Bible study every evening. We're reading Proverbs 31 tonight, I told her, and you'll memorize it by the end of the week. A virtuous woman doesn't strut around in pants, Abigail. She honors her family, her faith, and her role. She looked like she wanted to argue, but the memory of yesterday's 6 swats kept her quiet. Smart girl. To drive the point home, I made her stand in the corner for 10 minutes after the lecture, hands clasped behind her back, nose to the wall, just like I had to do when I sassed Mama. This is what happens when you forget your place, I said, setting the kitchen timer. You're a child in this house, and children learn through discipline. She stood there, skirt swishing as she shifted uncomfortably, and I could almost hear Mama chuckling from heaven. When the timer dinged, I let her out, but not before reminding her. Next time, it's 20 minutes. And if you talk back, it's 20 minutes. And the spoon. Her eyes widened, and I knew she was starting to understand. This wasn't a game. This was my house, my rules, and my daughter was going to learn. Now Abigail's upstairs, folding laundry in her uniform, her movements stiff from yesterday's lesson and today's humbling. The box of Tomboy clothes is locked in the attic, and I've hidden the key where she'll never find it. Part of me feels like the stern matriarch in one of those old pulp novels, doling out justice with a wooden spoon and a steely glare. But this isn't just about control, it's about love. The tough kind that saves a girl from losing herself to the world's nonsense. 3 months is a long time, and I'll use every day to mould her back into the lady she was raised to be. She'll thank me one day, or at least learn to fake it convincingly. Either way, I'm the sheriff in this house, and the tomboy's reign is over. By summer's end, my Abigail will be back, skirts, manners, and all, or I'll know the reason why.
Please consider becoming a member of this page for regular bonus videos, priority replies in comments, and even individualized governess attention tailored to your needs. If you need the guidance of St. Agnes in your life, we are happy to provide it.